too much self-awareness becomes social anxiety because we think that we know ourselves so well that as a result of that knowingness, we also think that we can tell and we can predict what other people will believe about ourselves. What we fail to realize is that the self-awareness and the perception that we have of ourselves is just another opinion. Just like other people have an opinion about us, we have an opinion as well, but we believe that opinion is more informed because we see what is happening within our mind, within our body, everything like that, our inner experience. But does that opinion hold more weight because of that fact? I would argue not, because other people can't see what's going on within yourself. So I would actually argue that your opinion of yourself is actually tainted because of the awareness of your inner self, the awareness you have of your thoughts, your emotions, your baggage, your history, all of that. That skews your opinion of yourself. And when someone meets you for the first time, they don't see that baggage. They don't see those thoughts. They don't see those emotions. So I actually don't think that you can view yourself as objectively as you think. And therefore, too much self-awareness is what's causing your social anxiety. You will never, ever be able to predict what other people think about you. And the quote unquote wisdom that you know yourself well enough that you will be able to correctly guess what other people will assume about you when meeting you is kind of utterly insane. But enough with the theoreticals. How do we solve this issue? Because you believe that you've solved all the pieces to the puzzle, but really, that puzzle that you've made is really only the first piece to a much larger equation that you haven't figured out yet. And that is true self-awareness is letting go of the self completely. It's allowing the self to express itself and exist in a way that is free flowing. You jumping the gun and trying to assume what people will think, you constantly analyzing yourself and how you appear, all of that, that world is non-existent. It doesn't even exist. So even the fact that you think people are judging you won't change how much people judge you. The actions you take as a result of trying to escape that judgment is not going to change how much people judge you. Because, okay, if you keep yourself quiet and you hide yourself, you might avoid the eyes of one opinion. But how do you know that person would have judged you? And how do you know that the person that sees you just walking by the street isn't judging you, even if you haven't said a word and even if you haven't even looked in their direction? You have no control over it. So the only right answer and the self-aware answer is we can see that I actually don't know how other people will perceive me. So the only legitimate and logical answer is to let go of the entire paradigm of guessing what other people think and social anxiety. We leave that entire world behind because it doesn't exist. It makes no difference in the system of reality, and it makes no difference on how other people are going to treat us. The only thing it's prohibiting is possibly making new connections, having new experiences, and opening new doors and creating new opportunities. That's the only thing it's going to do. There's only negatives that come of it, and the negatives that come aren't from other people's opinions. It's the sheltering and isolation that we do as a result of believing that other people are taking the time to judge us. So now we have to condition our minds to stop the feedback loop of looking outside and instead just leaving the outside alone completely. We can stop looking in the mirror 100 times a day. That might be a solid start. When we walk into a room, maybe we don't obsessively look at our phones. Maybe we practice making eye contact with people. Maybe we practice walking into a room more confidently. And the thing is, why are we scared to do this? What is the fear of? Other people's opinions? Okay. If you're caught up on other people's opinions, you don't yet realize that even if they have those opinions, what effect is that going to have on your life? Psychologically, a lot of times people judge what they don't yet understand. So when people judge internally, inherently, that oftentimes means they're actually curious. So really confident people who walk into a room kind of owning their light and they don't shy away from being seen, they're immediately interesting. And it depends on how we want to view judgment. Because we may judge people at first and they may become our best friends. So Is people judging you right away inherently the horrible thing and the scary nightmare that you've been avoiding this whole time? Or is maybe allowing people to judge you initially the very thing you've been looking for? And it's not necessarily the validation from other people that we've been looking for. It's more the freedom of existing and being able to talk to people without the fear of judgment. And we mistake those two things. We mistake wanting validation with wanting no fear when engaging socially. We mistake those two. If you want to change your life, it's not going to happen by being more self aware. You're already self aware. You've been dealt the cards of introspection and reflection. You've been dealt the cards of self awareness. You're self aware. That's it. You are self aware. You can view yourself, and maybe you can view yourself deeper and deeper, but you know what's going to help you view yourself at a more spiritual wisdom and psychological level is actually transforming who you are past all those defense mechanisms and little crutches that we take to position ourselves to avoid discomfort and anxiety, social anxiety to be exact. And how do we do that? Well, you're the one who's self aware of you. So, what is it that you struggle with right now? In anxiety, what exact situations do you believe are fueling that anxiety? The more you face those situations, the more you deal with the discomfort of moving through those situations, the more those situations become engulfed in a flame of freedom. I know I'm getting a little bit metaphorical here, but it's true because our brain starts to see these situations not as threats, but as opportunities. Because you start to see that as well. You start to see the more anxious situations I'm able to overcome, the more I become emotionally regulated, the more my nervous system is regulated, and the more I grow a tolerance to anxious situations. And the higher your tolerance for anxious situations, the higher your confidence. Because you're confident in yourself and you're confident in your ability to be able to withstand and move through these situations. You feel empowered by your ability to continuously move through anxiety and fear inducing situations. Each one of these situations is an opportunity in so many different ways as well. It's an opportunity to show your mind, it's an opportunity to regulate your nervous system. That's the inner opportunity. And the outer opportunity is you may meet new people, new friends. You might open new doors, new opportunities, new portals, whatever it may be. There's so much opportunity in finding the anxious situations and setting them aflame by facing them. So use your self awareness to find the patterns that are fueling your anxiety. That's what your self awareness should be used for. Don't use it for anything else. Don't use it to analyze how that person responded to you. Don't use it to assume what face that person made at you in the context behind. Just abandon that. Just abandon that. It'll come on its own. You don't have to force it to come. Just abandon that for now. And instead, use your self awareness to objectively see what is fueling your anxiety. What fears, what discomfort do you not want to feel? Get to that deepest, truest, darkest place. There's no point in lying to yourself, genuinely. There is no point. If you can find those anxieties, the deeper you go, the more the more embedded that pattern is, and that fear is, and that avoidant behavior is in your identity, the more you are able to face the situations that are playing that part in your identity. Stay with me now. You are able to create a different identity, not just from your perception of yourself, but also how reality is reacting to you because you're giving and you're showing up as a different type of person. When you show up as a different type of person, you experience different outcomes. That should be obvious. If we keep waiting in our self awareness, if we keep waiting in our self analysis for something to happen, some sort of thought about breakthrough to happen, oh, we're going to be stuck for a long time. We're going to be stuck for a long time because nothing is going to come to us. The bravery that is needed to face those anxiety inducing situations, those fear induced situations, the bravery that is needed, it's not going to be in your self awareness. It's going to be right in that place that you avoid and you turn your back to every single time. That's where it is. It's in the heat of the moment. It's when you're sweating. It's when you're nervous. It's when you're unsure. That's when the real difference is made. That's when the rewiring of your mind truly occurs. So we can use our self-awareness as only a measure of understanding the pathway through to a breakthrough. That's how we use our self-awareness. We view ourselves not trying to get into the shoes of other people. So don't try to form an opinion about yourself, trying to put yourself in the shoes of meeting yourself for the first time, because you'll never be able to do that. Give up trying to assume how other people are going to think about you, how other people are perceiving you for the first time, because you're never going to be able to guess that ever. And I'm sure you've had situations where people told you what they thought about you when they first met you, and it's probably completely different than how you view yourself and also completely different to how they view you now. So forget about the first meeting. Forget about it and just be yourself. Forget about that first introduction. Just be yourself. The sooner someone gets to know who you are, the sooner the result of that relationship will come to fruition, whether they like you, whether they're engaged with you, whether they want to spend more time, whatever it may be. And if they don't, they don't. There's no point in putting on a facade. There's no point in being anyone else. Self-awareness should show you that. It should show you who you quote unquote really are, whether you're alone in your room, whether you're with your friends, whoever you are, these many different versions of who you are. You become the best version of that self by facing those anxieties, the ones that you're avoiding, the ones that you're aware of. Being aware of it is not enough. It's not enough. No transformation will ever happen from becoming aware of it. Because the transformation, if self-awareness were to lead to any sort of transformation, it would be the very realization at first of that said anxiety, of that said fear. Once you realized how many avoidant behaviors you're taking as a result of that fearful thing happening, that's when you take action, and that's when you start facing those situations. That's when you start moving through those situations and use them to propel you into a version of yourself that you really want to become. So if the opinion that you have about yourself is tainted, if the opinion that other people have of you doesn't really matter, then what is the true facet of who you are? And now you're getting to the root of self-awareness, and that is we are who we choose to be. We are who we choose to be. Because if we keep acting in a certain way, that's going to be the character that we embody. That's going to be the person that people know us as. That's the character that we're bringing into life. So instead of our eyes darting across the room when we enter, we can keep them still. We can make eye contact with people. We could simply embody the version of ourselves that is capable and brave enough of facing those anxious situations. You should find confidence. You should find empowerment in the fact that you are able to face them. And you don't even have to trick yourself into feeling confidence. All you have to do is face the situations that you're scared of, move through them in a way that is confident, and you don't even have to do anything to trick yourself. You're going to naturally feel more empowered. You're going to naturally feel more confident. That's all it is. You don't have to trick yourself. I know we talk all the time about conditioning your mind and conditioning your personality, and that stuff is true. And one of the most powerful aspects of conditioning ourselves is the fact that if we face the situations that we're afraid of, that we're anxious of, those situations become completely illuminated and actually add points to a new version of ourselves. And the more we are able to face more difficult and anxiety and fear-ridden challenges, the more we are able to face those things, the more regular daily activities become almost like level 1 activities, like beginner level, because we're constantly facing, we're constantly expanding our limitations and comfort zone, that now our previous comforts now become so comfortable, it feels like bliss almost. But we can't get comfortable in that. That's what people do. They get comfortable in the bliss of the comfort zone, and then they just stay there. And then eventually that bliss runs out, because that's what happens. Your tolerance slowly goes down and it creeps in on you. So if you're not building, if you're not expanding, if you're not growing, that means anxiety is going to start tightening its grasp, and more situations are going to be more anxiety inducing, and less situations are going to be more comfortable, and vice versa. So for when we're facing, hopefully that makes sense. I know this is a rather short video, guys, but I just wanted to cover this topic really quick. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you for listening, And other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.